Now, ways of conducting observation is you can do it through two ways. One is through the event sampling and the other is through time sampling. Now, event sampling is a list of facts, events, behaviors under investigation is devised and the number of observed instances is recorded on a checklist without taking into account the chronological order. Now, which means that once I have decided what facts or events or behavior I want to observe, the number of times these instances have occurred, I will tick mark on a checklist without taking into account that when did they occur, whether it occurred in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening. But what I am right now concerned is that event has occurred and or that instance has occurred and I need to record it. Now, for example, if you are doing in a classroom and I'm observing the teacher's behavior, planning, the disagreement, explanation, reference back, and resolution or compromise. Now, if I want to observe these every time the teacher in the classroom disagrees, so there's disagreement in the classroom while discussing, I would put a tick mark or a tally over there. If there is an explanation, I would put a tick mark or a tally over there. If there is a compromise or a resolution, I will put a tick mark or a tally over there. And now this will tell me the number of times there was preposition, the disagreement, explanation, referring back or resolution. Let us take an example of an event sampling in a classroom, or we can even call it a frequency count. For example, in the class, I want to observe the preposition, disagreements in the classroom, explanations by the teacher, the reference back when the teacher says, okay, fine, I will refer back, or the students say that, ma'am, we will do some referencing regarding this. In case if there isn't any disagreement or a compromise or resolution has to be reached. I want to do a sampling of all these, that how many times in the classroom there has been a disagreement. Then in that case, what I will do is I will sample all these events, and every time any of these aspects appear in the classroom, I will put a tally over there and say this is the first time it has happened. Then in case if there is an explanation which has been given, I would say, okay, this is the first explanation, again a tally, a second explanation, again a tally, and so on and so forth till you are observing them. The line that we would be putting, or the tally that we'll be doing, would represent the number of times each type of listed verbal behavior was observed. The second way is the time sampling. Now, in time sampling, if the chronological of the event is important to know, in this case, the units of observation are entered as standard intervals of time. So here in this case, for example, in your classroom, there is a child who is throwing a temper tantrum during a particular class. It is very important for me to observe during that period when that behavior occurs. So I will see, if I will give it a time, and I'll say that I will observe this behavior for 30 seconds, or how long the behavior occurs, or how long does the student behavior continues. I will put a tally as per the timings. Now this is called a time sampling, where I may say that I will observe the child every 30 seconds. Now if the behavior occurs in the other 30 seconds where I am not observing, I will not record that. But within those 30 seconds or 40 seconds or 60 seconds that you want to observe, every time that behavior occurs, we will put a tally to that. Now, same thing that you have over here, that if I take the previous verbal behaviors of preposition, disagreement, explanation, reference back, and resolution, compromise, I will say that when did the preposition occur? The verbal behavior. That was in the first 40 seconds. Then it has occurred later on in the fifth phase. So this is how we will do the tally, and this is more important when there are those behaviors which are affecting learning. As I said earlier, a child may be throwing temper tantrums. A child may be inattentive during a maths class, or a child may be getting distracted probably because there is a peer who has been troubling him, pinching him, nudging him. So it is very important that, and also to see how long that behavior occurs. The characteristics of observation schedule is, one, they are systematic. Now once they're systematic, they become more reliable and more valid for us. Has categories that the researcher uses to record their observations. So you can categorize all behaviors, and each and every behavior or category will be exclusive of each other. So if you have aggressive behavior, so all those behaviors which are described as aggressive will go under aggressive behavior. The second category, for example, could be inattentive behaviors, things which, or those behaviors which we say are inattention or creating inattention, would go under inattentive behaviors. For example, not looking at the teacher, not reading, not sitting for a longer period of time. These would be the categories. Observations are straightforward. I see a behavior, I define a behavior, I go and I observe. It provides greater accuracy in observation. So because I'm sitting there and I've systematically seen the events that I want to observe, the time that I want to observe, thus it gives us more accuracy in our observation, and it is a common method for all sciences. The data that is collected is predetermined, like the coding scheme, provides guidelines or reminders for the researcher to be alert and on the lookout for certain things. Now, here when we are observing, as we had said earlier, that there could be problems of misinterpretation, the wrong meaning of the observation, observer bias, then an observation should give a guideline or reminders for the researchers to be alert on or be on a lookout for all those things. Now, the advantage of the observation schedule is that it allows data to be collected from a variety of settings. As I said earlier, it could be the physical setting, it could be the classroom, it could be outside at a temple and in a marketplace. When we go to malls, we see so many people who are sitting and who are making observations over there. You could sit at the railway station, at the bus stop, and you can observe people depending upon what your research area is. It is an effective focusing device at the stage 2 of data collection. It imposes structure in the research from the early stages in the research process. Structured data collected from the tool helps the researcher to identify patterns and relationships in the data. So when you are observing people, you say, okay, there are certain people are behaving in this manner. Now, why are they behaving like this? That will help you to establish relationship of what is the cause why the people are behaving, or what is there in the environment why people are behaving in a particular manner. Validated observation schedules also allow researcher to use the schedule in different settings for different populations. It also allows the researcher time to observe, count or rate instances of pre-specified behaviors. It provides space for more detailed qualitative description of behavior. But as I said earlier, observation schedules also have their limitations. The problem could be in describing the complex setting in terms of performed set of categories that we are going to use for observations. Observations is available on the terms of the specified categories only. That is, you have to first specify what is it that I want to observe, and anything else besides that then you will not observe. There may be important but subtle features of classroom life that cannot be recorded using a schedule, no matter how detailed it is. There is a possibility of misinterpretation with respect to the meanings ascribed by participants can also occur. They are not flexible. They provide quantitative data. It does not provide quantitative data. It it's not always make notes in the observation schedule, highly constrained observations, and the data can be collected only in terms of categories of the schedule. Now, this we spoke about how we can prepare a observation schedule. Now, for your activity, what you can do is imagine that you're sitting in a room where 10 people are learning computers, and there you can sit and assess to what extent students are interested, to what you would look for. You would listen to what they are saying. You would listen, you would see their expressions, you will see their interest in the subject, you will see the curiosity, their willingness to learn. If you aren't very sure what specifically indicates student learning or learning, and you want to see what is going on during the observation, then how do you proceed? That becomes your unstructured observation, where you can observe students who are attending the program. You will observe what is the group, what type of group, whether they are youth, whether they are senior citizens, whether they're all ladies, whether they're all boys, all girls, mixed group, the length of the time the student stays at the computer center to learn these computer applications. You would see that there are certain students who would finish their 1 hour of computer training and would immediately get up and go. Whereas there would be some who would be hanging around trying to get a feel of how the computer operates or how the applications can be used. That would tell you the level of involvement. Interactions with other peers, other participants, how are they finding the training? With the staff, how did a particular student take to that training? Is he showing more interest? Is he not showing interest? That is all what you can observe. And thank you for your patient hearing.